What's up, everybody? It is your boy Zealand, and today we're going to be talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! Specifically the deck Dream Mirrors. This is a deck that I really like. It's very interesting, and I think I have perfected the build as far as the main deck goes and the extra deck. And this is a build without extravagance, so you don't have to throw $300 at your little Dream Mirror pet deck. But the point is, I think this deck is really fun. The art is really cool. It's really interesting, and I wanted to make it as good as possible. So here we go with the deck list. Most of you may not be familiar with Dream Mirrors, but if you search this up, you probably know, so I'll go over it relatively briefly. So first, we run 3 Sprite. If Nightmare is on the field, you can tag out into the dark other one, which is Mara. And when she's special summoned by a Dream Mirror, you can search for a Dream Mirror card. That's super important. You're going to be searching every turn if you want to win to stay one ahead of your opponent. And if this one's special summoned, it special summons a Dream Mirror from hand. So there's a couple combos that I can show a little later. But basically, this and this are the meat and potatoes. You want to see these in your hand when you start out, because you want to get that good search. 2 friend, 2 foe. So they each tag out into each other based on what field spell you have, just like the other ones. If this one's special summoned by a Dream Mirror, you can special summon a Dream Mirror from your graveyard. This one's special summoned, it has the mandatory effect to attack directly. So that's not super helpful, but the whole point is you want to start with this in the light field spell to special this, and then this will special him from the grave. So you can overlay into a rank 4 or just have 2 bodies. So if you get Kaiju, a lot of your traps are still alive, and I'll explain that a little later. Same thing with these guys. If you open Mara in the light field spell, you can tribute to special her and then go straight into your search. So you want to open the dark ones and then, go to the light, so to speak. The reason we run 2 is because you want to be able to resolve it as much as you can. And if you open one, you don't want to not have one in your deck. So that's the theory of running 2 and 2 on that one, instead of 2 and 1 or something like that. Next, we run 2 of the big darks and 1 of the light. The reason we run these are all technically bricks, unless you summon them out of your hand with Mara. But it's only 3 cards, alright? And the whole point is they're searchable, so you don't need that much. The reason we're running 2 blacks instead of just 1 and 1 is because if you special one from your hand, tag out, special this one, you can still special the other one during your end phase or during another turn and then destroy a card. So I should actually explain what they do. This one, if it's special summoned by a Dream Mirror card, it is just a wall. It can't be destroyed by anything for the rest of the turn. And this one destroys a card when summoned by a Dream Mirror. So you want to be able to get maximum plus, or rather subtraction from your opponent. So you can special that during one turn, blow it up, tribute into this, next turn, blow up another card. That's why you run this specific ratio. Next is the spells. So 3 Dream Mirror Joy, 3 Nightmare. Pretty self-explanatory if you know the deck, but considering the fact that this deck works by you need a field spell and a monster to really play your deck, you want to max out. Also terraforming. Optimally, there aren't situations where you're just running on 1 field spell, but it's going to be at least turn 2 until you have both, or your opponent's first turn until you have both if you go first. So terraforming is really important, because if you don't see a field spell, you're not playing the game. This one, if it's on your side of the field, your opponent can't target Dream Mirror monsters you control except for the ones with the highest level for attacks and card effects. So most of the time, you're going to want this on your side of the field. So if they're playing control or trying to get rid of your little guys, you don't have to worry about it. They have to attack into the big ones first, including the fusion. This one, if it's on your side of the field, they take 300 damage every time they special summon as long as you control a dark Dream Mirror. So it just burns them and makes OTK a little easier. So you don't have to go super ham to get rid of it, but mostly you're going to want to have this for control, and then this for if they try to combo or something, and then it makes them think about it when they start getting low on life or using strikes or judgment or whatever, so you can just attack once or twice per game instead of having to wait another turn to OTK them. So, that's all for the field spells. Because your traps are able to get into them, you don't need Metaverse, you don't need Set Rotation, because you won't be able to activate another card, another field spell, if they decide, oh, well, I don't run field spells, I don't need to activate this. They'll look at it, but they won't activate it. Another one is Dream Mirror Phantasms. Main thing is it searches a Dream Mirror monster, and you need a Dream Mirror to play the game. And it reduces stats of your opponents. If this is on the field, monsters by 500, and it increases your monster's attack and defense by 500 if you have this on the field. If you have both, which you will, optimally, it'll be 1,000 attack and defense difference between you and your opponent's monsters, which makes small guys big, and their big guys small. Really important, because it's continuous. And it's a really good ash bait, so that when you activate your Dream Mirror monsters, they don't get ashed. This card is so good, we run it at 1. It fuses by using monsters you control, and mainly you're going to be summoning this one. And I'll just explain what she does in a little bit when we get to the extra deck, but the main point of this card is you can search it, so it's at 1, and it gets you a huge body, 300 minimum, or 3,000 minimum attack and defense, but it's not so important that you really need to see it, so it's just at 1. Some people play 2, I've seen in deck profiles, but you don't really need to open it to play, and it's a quick play, so you can just skill into it or draw into it, and then search it, and then set it, and then use it next turn. The whole gimmick with this card is if the light field spell is on your field, you can also use monsters from your hand, and if the dark field spell is on the field, you can banish monsters from your graveyard, in addition, to fuse. So, it's really bad if you don't have a field spell, because you have to control both the monsters, but you just have to remember, as long as you control them, you can still technically fuse. So, you don't want to brick on that. More spells. These are just staples. Called by the Grave hits Ash, Droll. Droll doesn't hurt really that bad, but any hand trap generically. Ghost Bell, since people are maining it sometimes, or siding it for Grave Center decks that are meta, you want to be able to hit that so you can keep getting your pluses and keep playing the game and stay one ahead of your opponent. Cosmic Cyclone, we run this at 2, not 3, because we don't want to open multiples of really any card. We just want to see what we see, and then search what we're missing. And this is my personal take on the deck. Since you don't need to special summon your first turn all the time, you want to draw what else you need and just control a Dream Mirror monster and play it slow like that. So, Bob Duality. Earlier builds of this deck, like, several months ago, didn't max out on Duality, but the fact is, past turn 1.5, you're going to want to be able to special summon, and if you open Called by the Grave, or anything to stop Ash, or Gamma in game 2 or 3, then you'll be covered. So, in the middle of the game, you're going to want to be able to special summon, because that's how you're going to plus. But at the start of the game, this is how you're going to see what you need to see, and even if your opponent knows what it is, they still have to be able to deal with it. Card of Demise is freaking huge in this deck. It's such a big deal, because you can see the field spell the monster, set 3 spell or traps, draw 3 more, and then just activate everything. And it's not a big deal if the rest of your monsters go to the graveyard, because, you can summon them back with Friend. Upstart, consistency, this is huge. And then onto the traps. So, Hypnagogia is lit. It activates both field spells, each one on either side of the field. And it's a regular trap. Fantasy is pretty controversial, but I've seen a deck profile run 3, and I agree with it. I'd shout you out, but I haven't done the research to find out which one I did. I did subscribe to you, though, by the way, so you'll see me. This one targets the 2 field spells that you have banished, and then banishes a card your opponent controls not targeting. And if it's in the graveyard, you can banish it to protect a Dream Mirror card. The Dream Mirror field spells tag out into each other during the end phase by banishing themselves as cost. So, that doesn't really matter. Unless it's turn 1 and you don't have another field spell. But if you have both banished, then this card is live. So, Oneiromancy is a counter trap. If Dark's on your side on the field at all, you can strike something basically. Doesn't work on fusions, but just inherent summons. And if Light's on the field, you can negate a spell or trap. This is super important to stop Lightning Storm, Feather Duster, So that's why you're going to want light on the field too. And then 2 trap trick, because your most important traps that are going to minus your opponent and plus you are just regular traps. So extra deck doesn't matter a whole lot, which is why competitive builds run Extrav. But in my opinion, this build can be competitive. And so I just run 2 Urkling, 1 of this, and then super poly targets and rank 4s for the Friend Fiend Urkling combo. And side deck here, Gamma. So if you go first and you have an open field, you can negate and have an Omega. This one pops cards. Basically, you want to be able to out Zeus and Zoo. 3 Ash in the side, 2 Droll, and then 3 regular trap for shutting down rituals and synchros, and then an extender if your monster gets destroyed. So thanks for watching. That was Dream Years, and I'll see you guys in the next video, my guys. It'll be pretty lit.